They say that sometimes when you don't succeed at something, it's best to go back to your roots. Not only do the Pittsburgh Steelers have to do that after losing four in a row, but so do Zach and I, because every single attempt, I think, to record while we were on winter break failed miserably. So here we are, back to Zoom calls until we figure out a way to actually get things done properly.
Yeah, here we are. Hello
Not dead
and
yet.
welcome back to the pod. That's true, in all ways possible. Hello and welcome back to the podcast, Two Steelers Fans in a Pro Football World. I'm Zach,
And I am Dill.
and we're here to bring you all of the news from the NFL and the UFL from a Pittsburgh Steelers fan's perspective. And today I'm wearing my Grateful Dead hockey jersey because I am grateful we're not dead yet.
Yeah, we're scraping the bottom of the barrel for jerseys here. Pretty
Yeah,
bad.
sorry. I have too many jerseys and I don't wear this one very often, so I figured I would wear it today. So, uh, in case you've missed the last like 5-6 weeks of the NFL season, the Steelers were going so strong. We were 10-3, leading the division with a 2-game lead, thinking there's little to no way we could screw this up, and
And
that's where we
yeah,
were wrong.
and then we
Yeah,
did.
and then we went on a 4-game losing streak and went from 90%, pretty much 90% likely to get the 3 seed in a home playoff game to now the 6 seed and limping into the playoffs. So this Saturday at 8 p.m., because again, the NFL will not let us play on a normal scheduled game time. On Saturday at 8 p.m., we will be playing the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore for the AFC wildcard game. And Dill, if I'm being honest, I am scared for this game. I am.
I don't feel great about it. I'll say that. I do not feel great about it.
Yeah.
Um, it's one thing to look like trash against the at the time 11-2 Eagles and the at the time 10-6, 10-5, 10-6, 10-6 Ravens. It's another thing entirely to look like trash against a Kansas City team that hasn't stopped anything and a Cincinnati Bengals team that also has not stopped anything. They have not stopped anything, but even less so, I guess. And also only putting up, 19 points against Cincinnati or excuse me, 7 because we can't exceed the 17 points for some reason. And only putting up 10 against Kansas City, two teams with some really not good defenses. It's not a great look. It's not a great look. We have received the Denver version of Russell Wilson, which none of us really thought would be an option this late in the season. He's been playing lights out up to like up until the Philadelphia week, and then he just forgot how to play football. So it's not great. Um, and now we're going into Baltimore, like you said, and we're playing a Ravens team that looks just about unbeatable, who a lot of people are picking to go to and win the Super Bowl. So it's not great. It's not great. There's very, very few positives from this losing streak. Very, very few positives.
Yeah, because even on the defensive side, you could say we started to do much better against Cincinnati. We kept the Kansas City game close for a decent amount of time.
Like 2.5 quarters, bro.
Yeah. Um, but I will say, the defense was really the only positive out of the defense against Cincinnati was the only positive out of the losing streak because we held two of the NFL's best offensive players to only 19 points, which is, really solid. But again, with essentially 4 weeks to get himself back into the sack title, TJ also, like Russell Wilson, just decided to be non-existent. Cam Hayward kind of tried at certain downs. I mean, you can't really put too much blame on him. The secondary just imploded. We were definitely missing key players at certain times, but ultimately missing one or two, like It was very rarely that we were ever missing more than just one key player in a game. Besides, I believe by the end of the Baltimore game, we had no second. Dante Jackson was out, Deshaun Elliott was out, and JPJ. So the Baltimore game, our secondary being trash, that's a little bit more understandable. We're missing our top three players besides Minka secondary, or three of our top four players secondary. So that's maybe a little bit excusable. The rest of it is not. You know, like whoever's idiot idea it was to put Corey Trice on Jamar Chase
For an
needs
entire
fired.
game, mind you.
Yeah,
For an entire game.
exactly. Needs fired immediately. I know T. Higgins went off against Denver and you want to put some extra spies on him. Don't put them on him the entire game because that does
Yep.
nothing.
It's amazing to me why we play 10 yards off of arguably the best receiver in football. I just because they weren't even getting chunk plays. They were getting like 10 yards, 11 yards,
Mhm.
9 yards. They're just picking us apart, man.
Right.
And it's look, all things considered, particularly with the Cincinnati game, this I'm not blaming the defense here, man. That was we had particularly Cincinnati. We had ample opportunities to win that game. I think of we stopped them twice with less than 5 minutes in the fourth quarter and couldn't get anything done on either. Well, we got a field goal on the first one, but that was because Russell Wilson just keeps taking such bad sacks. Get rid
Yeah.
of the football, man. I mean, it's been his problem for, the whole time. That's been
Yeah.
the biggest knock against him is it was his problem that first game that we lost with him as a starter against Cleveland. He just keeps holding onto the ball. Just
Yeah.
get rid of it, dude.
Yeah.
And then, George Pickens was hurt for those games, fine. But then he does come back and he drops every single target. Like, it's insane. One is like weird for him, but dropping three in one game is just unheard of.
Hmm.
So, that was frustrating to see Pickens completely sell out that whole game. Because if he catches even one of those, we probably win. It probably looks very, very different.
For
Um,
sure.
really, the only offensive positive that I saw was Pat Fryermuth. He had,
I was
I
about to
think,
say that.
in all but one of those games, he had a touchdown.
Hmm.
So that was good. That was good. They're finally using him.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the usage of Pat Fryermuth also seems to be paired with the usage of the halfback toss, which is straight out of Madden and straight does not work ever. I've
Yeah.
seen that play go for positive yardage maybe twice. We went from Matt Canada jet sweeps to Arthur Smith toss plays. The jet sweeps are still worse. However,
True.
what I don't understand what this obsession is with giving the ball to our backs 5 yards behind the line. Well, that you understand their goals to go forward, right? You need positive. You're like, I just where's the miscommunication here? Like, I don't. It doesn't seem like that foreign of a concept to me. But yet, and it's the fact that they keep going back to it. Like it consistently keeps not working, and they consistently go back to it. It's why? What is the point, dude? I don't understand it.
Yeah. And like the other thing with it is it's kind of like the jet sweeps where there's something that we do every time that as soon as we do it, like we know it's going to be a jet sweep and the other team does too. And we do something with this and it's either Najee or Jalen lines up literally an entire down. So basically 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage, behind Russell Wilson. And as soon as they do that, we all know it's going to be a toss play. I'm like, and also, why are you lining up that far back? That makes no sense. Like, I know you want a running start, but guess what? Our O line is not built yet. They're gonna get there. They're not built yet to protect you for the time it takes you to run those 10 yards. It makes no sense. And yes, we know that Najee is good at breaking tackles, but we also don't want him to be breaking 8 of them before he gets to the line of scrimmage. You know, that's not conducive for football. I mean, kind of something that just goes into all of this though is we need to start utilizing our players the right way, especially on offense. We were for a while, but now it feels like we're regressing, which doesn't make any sense. Yes, I like that we're using Pat Fryermuth, but we still never really use him in the red zone. Like he got a couple of those touchdowns, but other than that, like it seems like we go to every other option first, and then when we're desperate, we go to Pat Fryermuth. we should be going to him first. And if we're desperate, go to somebody else. He is our red zone target. That is why he was drafted. He
Yep.
in college, he never once dropped a red zone target. Why wouldn't we use him? The 4th and 1 where we ran it with Jalen Warren. We have a nearly 300-pound running back. Wouldn't you
Oh
think we
yeah.
would use him?
That was also frustrating though because they gave us a first down three separate times and took it away all three times.
Yep.
That's absurd. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, that's ridiculous. Like
I
there's just
the one that I'm almost positive was a first down though was Pat Fryermuth's, because I know like he landed out of bounds, but like he reached in front, like before his foot landed out of bounds, he reached in front of the first down marker. I know the ball was technically over the out of bounds line, but that's not generally where they're supposed to mark it. I don't know. And also, if it was where it crossed the out of bounds line, it would have been like an inch. They made it an entire yard that we had to go for that last one.
which to be fair, you should be able to get 1 yard in the National
True.
Football League. Why Justin Fields wasn't in for any of those was just insane. Also,
I mean, it
um,
was. I heard Tomlin said it still had something to do with his injury that he was out for a couple games. That they were trying not to do anything else for that injury, and that they're planning
what are you
on using.
saving him for? What are you saving him for, bro?
Apparently, they're going to do some package plays for the playoffs. So we'll see how
No, they are not.
bad
They'll
that
say
goes.
that, but no, they are not.
Yeah.
That brother's gonna be on the bench the entire time. You understand that, right?
I mean, I wish at this point I wish he was starting, because, like, in all honesty, we've looked like trash. If you're at least going to make all of the fans feel a little bit better if we try something new. Because at this point, if we keep doing what we're doing, we're gonna lose. At least try. If we
Yeah.
go out trying, that's better than doing the exact same thing and losing the same way that we have for the last 4 weeks.
Because that just shows that you've learned nothing.
Exactly.
I mean, this
And
is this
yeah.
is a textbook Steelers collapse at the end of the year. And
Mm,
it gets really, really annoying that the same thing happens year in and year out and nothing changes.
yeah.
Right?
Now,
Like I mean that's a Tomlin issue. I have
yeah.
faith that Tomlin can fix it. The problem is that it hasn't been fixed. Like that's, it doesn't when you have so much like in and out of different players coming in and out of this organization, and we still have this exact same collapses every single year. It's not the players, it's the coaching. So I don't know what goes through his head in the last couple weeks of the season, but whatever it is needs to be fixed
Mm,
because this is not the first time that this is. I mean, if we're gonna go in there and get blown out by Baltimore, and that nobody wants to see that,
no.
and it's like how do you let that happen so consistently? Like how do you play so well for such a good chunk of the year, and then whenever it counts, you just completely forget how to play the game? It
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense.
I mean, I feel like there was a time where it kind of used to be the opposite. At the beginning of the season, we would kind of play in, and then as the season got more important, we would bring it back, and that's when we cemented ourselves. There was a good chunk of time where it would be right before the playoffs that we really hammered it in, and we went into the playoffs with some momentum. Um, but that was the Big Ben era. So we're I feel like this is the first time that we're officially in a position where we can say this. But we've seen it with Sean Payton and Drew Brees. We've seen it with Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. Now we're kind of seeing it with the Steelers. Was it Ben Roethlisberger that made Mike Tomlin, or Mike Tomlin that made Ben Roethlisberger? And though Mike Tomlin has continued to have success for absolutely no reason with guys like Kenny Pickett and Mitch Trubisky and Mason Rudolph, even though I do love
Buck
Mason Rudolph
Hodges.
and Duck Hodges. Well, that was still before Ben retired, but yes, of course, Duck Hodges. We're still kind of in that where, with Ben, we had a couple 8-9 seasons, or 8-8 seasons, 9-8 seasons, things like that. But now it's truly, we're stuck kind of in that 9-8, 10-7. Is that just because we have an entire Pro Bowl roster on our defense, or is that Mike Tomlin outshining the rust? This is where it kind of starts to bring up the discussion. Did Ben Roethlisberger make Mike Tomlin's career, or at least make it a heck of a lot easier?
Well, it was always Bill Cowher that made Roethlisberger. I don't think anyone ever argued that. Um, Tomlin proved that he can get it done. He's proved that with all the like bum quarterbacks that he's worked with, he still pumps out wins. He pumps out a lot of wins.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not his coaching ability necessarily. It's what the heck happens at the end of the year, and how does it happen so consistently? It makes it
Yeah.
seem like something intentional, like he's doing something intentionally, and it's just not. Whatever it is, everyone else is doing better, which doesn't make any sense. Like I don't, you don't, you're this team that has been absolutely walloping people all year long doesn't suddenly forget how to play the football game, you know, when all of a sudden things are on the line. All right, that doesn't happen. So
Yeah.
what are we doing? What are we doing wrong? And why the heck hasn't it been fixed in, at this point almost 10 years? I mean,
Yeah.
ever since 2017. It's been the same song and dance. First round blowout, first round blowout, first round blowout. We saw it against Jacksonville. We saw it against Cleveland. We saw it against Kansas City. We saw it against I think Kansas City a second time, maybe. Um, no, we missed the playoffs that year. And then we saw it against Buffalo. So like when does this end?
Yeah.
What's the deal
Hopefully
here?
this.
Huh?
I said hopefully this year. Um,
Oh,
it's not
I don't really
likely,
count on it.
but we were saying that the ideal matchup was going to be Houston, right? Houston is limping into the playoffs almost as much as we are. At least we scored more than 2 points against Baltimore. Um,
We did.
yeah, so like we were hoping for Houston, but there is something very important to remember. Though Baltimore crushed us in their last game or the last game we played against them, our secondary was no one was there. Not a soul was on our secondary when we played them. Pickens was out, and it was Baltimore was on a streak. Now you have Baltimore and you have Steelers in the playoffs. Baltimore has won a playoff game more recently. They walled up the Texans last year, but Baltimore still, in a way, has a playoff curse against them as well. We are two AFC North teams going against each other. Both have kind of rocky stats in the playoffs recently. And both of us are a part of the biggest rivalry in sports right now. If anybody in the first couple rounds has a chance of beating Baltimore, in a way, we are that team. We are the only team that has the ability to get inside Baltimore's head. Maybe not at the beginning of the game because Baltimore is going to go in with so much confidence, but in the middle of the game, we're the only team that can go in there and actually mess with Baltimore.
I think we're
The
the only
issue
team that have
is,
a losing record against. It
hmm?
might be Kansas. I said I think we're the only team that not Baltimore, but I think we're the only team that Lamar has a losing record against. It might be
Yeah,
Kansas City also. I genuinely don't know what his record is against Kansas City, but
yeah, I
he's
think,
2-4.
yeah,
He's 2-4 against us.
hmm,
So
yeah, because they've
we're
walloped
the
the
team.
Bills as of recently in the regular
Yes.
season. But Kansas City, I think, has won 3 out of the last 4 against them in the regular season. But I also like Lamar's been in the league for 7 or 8 years. I don't know how well Lamar did early in Patrick Mahomes' career or like early in his career against Kansas City. That would be the only
Yeah.
place that I would say it could get even. Um, but
Regardless,
yeah.
we're the team that beats him most consistently. So
Mm-hmm.
it
Again,
can be done.
he's had one statistically good game against us, and that was last or like a couple weeks ago. Because the first game that he played against us, I think they barely won in overtime or no, that was Mitch
That
Trubisky
was the
throwing like
Mason Rudolph year.
yeah, Mitch Trubisky throwing like three interceptions, um, against
Oh,
them.
oh yeah, you're right. No, it was
Yeah,
Hodges because remember Mason Rudolph got blown up in that game, so they put the third guy in. That was Ducks. That was the first time
yeah,
that
no,
Duck ever came in.
but I believe that was we went against Trace McSorley when we lost them.
No, that was the only game that Lamar had beaten us in before.
Then who beat us when? Because that makes sense, but I'm just trying to think who was playing for them when they beat us with Trubisky throwing three interceptions.
That might have been Trace McSorley.
Yeah, that sucked. But
I don't even
anyway,
remember that. I'm being so honest. I don't even remember
yeah.
that.
Um, I think that was Kenny Pickett started that game, and then he got one of his like 18 concussions, and then Mitch Trubisky went in and
Year
sold
was
the
that?
bag. That was Kenny Pickett's first year. That was a home game because that
Why the
was the
heck don't I
first game,
remember that?
probably because we lost and you blocked it from your memory. But that was the first time we
I
played them.
must have.
That was the first time we played them that year. Mason got or not Mason. Kenny got injured. Mitch came in. We were like, oh, Money Mitch is gonna finish the game, and then he didn't. And then Baltimore came back and we lost by like two. And then that was the same.
I do remember that now,
Yeah.
actually. Yep,
And then
because
that was
Kenny got blown up at like the very beginning of the game. Yep, I
yeah.
do remember that.
And it was like a like ridiculously dirty hit too, and we were all calling for a flag, and there was no flag.
Yep, I
Um,
remember.
yeah,
Trubisky got close.
yeah, and then later in the season, was the crazy comeback by Kenny Pickett when he threw
Kenny
the
Pickett
touchdown to
legacy
Najee.
drive.
Yeah, when he threw the touchdown to
That
Najee Harris.
that single play set the franchise back by like 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but we won, and that helped us get into the playoffs that year. Or no, we almost made it to the playoffs that year because Kenny Pickett's first year we didn't make it to the
No, we
playoffs.
didn't. We needed Miami to lose, I think,
Yeah,
and then they did. So, any
on
case,
yeah,
we
but
we statistically have we beat them the most. We beat them the most
mm,
consistently. We we are currently on our trajectory of we beat them 4 times and they beat us, and then we beat them 4 times and then they beat us. They just beat us. So in theory, we should beat
we
them
get
four
four more
times. In theory.
in theory. And to be
The
fair,
theories.
with how the end of the season went, I am on. I will be fully content with it with one playoff win. If our
Oh yeah.
only win is Baltimore, I would be fully content with that
Well, we
because
we'd have to yeah.
I mean, to be honest, we would play Baltimore, and 9 times out of 10, if we beat Baltimore, we're playing Buffalo, and we're probably going to lose to Buffalo.
Denver beats Buffalo, I'm gonna lose my mind. I
Yeah.
don't even like that first of all be hysterical.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, that would be something.
Yeah. So, and that would be the only like if Denver beat Buffalo, then we would play the winner of Houston and LA, which would be great. Um, and then if Denver beats Buffalo, they would play a division rival in Kansas City. And if Denver beats
Can we
Kansas City,
focus?
I would
Can we
laugh.
focus? Focus, focus, focus. We haven't done anything yet.
Nobody's done anything yet. That's why I'm
Oh,
still happy at
nobody's done
this
anything.
moment. But yeah, I mean that's the thing. We would 9 times out of 10 go and play Buffalo, and we would probably get trounced. The
We get
only thing that
mauled.
yeah, the only thing that would root in our favor is the fact that Buffalo can't kick in the divisional round. So, but they probably wouldn't need to beat us anyway. So
I
let's
think
be real.
honestly, until further notice, all I'm worried about is just breaking the playoff curse that we've given ourselves somehow.
100%.
Someone must have like cursed an ancient Indian god or something like that, and now we're stuck. So
Yeah.
let's get a playoff win, prove that it can be done, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. 100%.
Um, but that's yeah, it's gonna be tough. This is a tall order, and I don't
Oh,
really have a lot of confidence based on
yeah.
how the offense has been performing.
It's going to be a one-score game, probably coming down to the last second. in like no matter who wins. Well, actually, no. I think it's kind of more accurately what I said about Kansas City originally at the beginning of the year. I that what I used for that still kind of works for this. Either we are going to get absolutely destroyed, or we're going to barely win it, and I don't see an in between.
Well,
I mean,
honestly, that's how our two games that we played against them this season went. We just
yeah,
barely beat them and then we got trounced.
yeah.
So,
So I could really, it's going to be one of the two, honestly.
does Baltimore still have the worst pass defense in the league? Is that still a thing?
Let me check.
Well, look, regardless, it doesn't matter where their defenses rank. This song and dance for all of these last few games has been don't turn the ball over. And in every single one of those games, we have two plus turnovers. Don't turn the ball over and you win. We had done such a good job the whole year of taking care of the ball. And then we just, I don't know. So Wilson forgot how to throw a good pass. He started throwing picks. So if you can keep the ball in your hands and out of the hands of the opponent, you have a much better chance of winning. Not fumbling on stupid plays like Calvin Austin's fumble against Cincinnati, Russ Wilson's fumble against the Ravens, you know, not doing stupid things like that. That's how you win games, especially in games. They're over 10-point favorites, I think, right now, which I
They're
still
nine
think is
and a half
ridiculous
right
because it's
now.
a what's up?
They're 9.5 right now.
They were 10 when I checked earlier.
At
Oh,
least on
why
Yahoo
is
Sports, they're 9.5.
well, let me check on Fliff real quick because that's what real men use. Yeah, they are 9.5. Okay. Any case, I still think two scores is a little absurd, um, because these games are usually really close. So usually, the second game against them this year proved that they're not all really close.
As
Um,
of right now, the Ravens have the second worst pass defense in the league.
the Giants,
No, the worst is Jacksonville.
that checks out.
They
But
have
look,
the best rush defense in the league.
that's been their song and dance the whole year, dude.
Yep.
Which is
We
unfortunate
have
because we're a run first offense.
yep.
So that is really annoying. However, this is a great opportunity to get George Pickens back on his feet. This is a great opportunity to use Pat Fryermuth, and it's an even
Yeah,
better
they're also
opportunity.
they I do remember this, they're worst in the league against tight ends.
Yeah. So use your tight end.
Exactly.
Um, and stop
We are
running the
currently
damn toss play. Just
yeah,
stop it. Just stop running it.
yeah,
Just don't use it.
yeah.
It doesn't work. And it's not going to.
Nope.
Just don't use it. If you don't use the toss play, it can't go wrong.
Yeah. Also, we are sixth best in the rush defense and 25th in pass defense.
25th?
Yeah, because we pretty much all of the yards that we allowed in the last however many games were all passing yards. Like the Chiefs had like
Oh
360
yeah.
total yards, and 340 of them were passing, and like or they had like 17 rush yards in that game, but still beat us, which is
Oh, your
stupid.
corners can't stay healthy.
And that's been the other
Although
thing is
everybody's playing against Baltimore this week, right?
yeah, I am really hopeful. Yeah, I was gonna say I'm gonna check really
Do we have any
quickly.
idea if Faltanu's coming back?
No idea. Um, I will say Roman Wilson has been activated off IR.
Great. Is he going to be playing?
Probably not, but he's activated.
Like, will he be playing? That's my question.
I have
Like,
no idea.
has he been ruled out for the game?
No, he's a full participant in practice.
Dude, Roman Wilson legacy game would go crazy.
We actually have no person with an injury designation on the injury report. So nobody, we have people on the injury report, but nobody has been given a questionable or an out or an anything.
Great, which means George Pickens will tweak his knee Friday night. Okay, that's
Probably.
cool. Um,
Cole Holcomb was a full participant in practice today.
Cole Holcomb?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know he was still on the team.
Yep. But Dante Jackson's also back. Roman Wilson, Fatanu, I see nothing, which is unfortunate. But yeah,
Tell you
so
what, you give your hot take, and I'll dig up what I can about Troy Fautanu.
let's
What's
do
his
that.
drive?
All right. So my hot take is a while back, team MVP got released. TJ Watt, for the fifth year, most in team history, has been named team MVP. And you all know I adore TJ Watt more than the next guy, unless the next guy's his brother. And then I'm still pretty close. TJ Watt is absolutely amazing. I love him to death. Uh, Best guy ever, even though I've never actually met him. Love him. But he's had a down year. Though, out of the people that are still in the running for Defensive Player of the Year, I'm still rooting for him. There's still a possibility. That's a story for another day. TJ Watt, though, I don't know if he deserves team MVP. Team MVP should 100% go to Chris Boswell. Chris Boswell leads the league in points scored this year, which is the first time the Steelers have ever had a league leading scorer in history. So props to Boswell. Boswell was our team MVP. If we didn't have him, we would have lost a vast majority of our games and would not be in the playoffs. But I would still argue that if you look at what these players have been doing for our team, there is another player on our defense that has been more impactful over the year than TJ Watt, and that is Deshaun Elliott. Deshaun Elliott came in, and we weren't sure if he was going to start. He ended up starting alongside Minka Fitzpatrick and made the first tackle of the year. And I just had an inkling that this guy is going to be amazing. He, at a couple different points throughout the year, was leading the team in tackles. He was also leading the team and at some point very, very high up in the league in passes defended, and was also just, even if he didn't make the initial tackle, seemed to be at the tackle every single time. If the ball was on the field, Deshaun Elliott was either blocking the guy who's going to get the ball for a reception or near the tackle box, near the tackling people, even if he wasn't making the tackle himself. He was at the ball at all points.
Denver has better odds to beat Buffalo than we do to beat Baltimore.
I did see that, and that's unfortunate. But regardless, if Deshaun Elliott is playing this weekend, which he is, that gives us a much better chance. He was not playing the last time we beat the Ravens. Could that have been one of the big reasons that we lost? I think so. Deshaun Elliott actually had one of his best games of the season against the Ravens last when we played them in at home, and he is a former Raven. I think he's a big reason why we have a chance to beat Baltimore. I love TJ. When it comes to forced fumbles and tackles for loss, he had a heck of a year. He's still, in my opinion, the greatest defensive player on the planet playing right now. But Deshaun Elliott had a more MVP-worthy year. Maybe not on the exact stat book, but if you look at exactly what he's done and how he's led this team, he was arguably, and in my opinion, the best performing player on our defense this year. If we have him and Minka angry and ready to go for this game, they're going to be the difference makers. And if TJ Watt can actually pull off a stellar game, which we haven't seen since the Eagles game, because he still had 2 forced fumbles in that game and 2 sacks. So that was still pretty impressive. If he can pull off a game like that, then we are back in this. But Dill, that's the hot take for today. Did you find anything out about our Samoan friend, Troy Fautanu?
Yeah, as of September, he's out for the rest of the season with a knee injury.
Still, even though they said he was going to be back for the playoffs, he's not.
At least I haven't seen anything.
Nice.
I did see somebody say that the Steelers are planning to let Dan Moore walk in free agency. Don't know why it's taken this long, but I'll take it. Better late than
Yep.
never.
You know what? might just be the best news that we hear all weekend.
Yeah,
Hopefully it's not. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully we hear that we have a playoff win. But nothing else. At least we got rid of Dan Moore. Maybe Dan Moore is the reason for all of our playoff losses.
maybe.
One can only hope. But that is it for the podcast today, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully the Steelers get a big win here on Saturday night. And hopefully after that win, we can actually play a regularly scheduled NFL game. If not, we'll have to wait till September. But
Yep.
that is it for today. Remember to engage with us in whatever way you can. We want to hear from you guys. We will also still be doing game picks for the playoffs. So if you want to be guests on that, just let us know. And we're going to wrap this up the way that Steelers fans end every day. Here we go, Steelers.
Here we go.